All right, good stuff. So, boxing beats and rhymes. I've known you a long time. I recently took a look at your channel. I watched the David Coldwell video. I thought that was a really good video. But can you tell people about yourself? You know, how your YouTube channel came along and what you're trying to do?
Probably just a keen observer, fan of the sport, and this I've always had I probably know a little more than most uploaders because I'm a little more older. So saw a little gap and just started making videos.
What's your plan? What is it you're trying to do? You're just trying to offer your own analytical insight to the sport.
No real plan. It just the outlet was there. I've got a lot of books, a lot of videos, and just said, well, man, I heard some of the stuff that people were talking about, especially from a historical standpoint, and like how inaccurate a lot of the information is. And I just felt compelled to say what I have to say and try and give out some good knowledge,
Well, I think you're similar to Hatman in the sense that both of you are very objective. You give a well analyzed opinion on boxing. But I feel the problem is a lot of people, they're not objective when they talk about boxing. Do you think this is one of the sport's biggest problems?
Objectivity. What was your definition? And one man's objectivity is something else for another.
Okay, I'll explain it quite well, or as best as I can. When I watch your David Coldwell interview, see, over the years, I've seen so many boxing videos. It's difficult for me to hear things I haven't heard before. But I think the killer line in your video, when you said Dave Coldwell saying Chisora shouldn't fight Wilder, is admitting Coldwell's own limitations as a trainer. I thought that was a great line. Like it didn't occur to me. And what I call objectivity, a lot of fans, they go by the fighters they like, and they're not honest. I'm not trying to sound important. If anybody wants to challenge the points I'm about to make, feel free. But a lot of the time, you've never even met these people. And when you're judging fighters by one standard, and then your favorite fighter, and then you're talking about other fighters by a different standard, I don't really understand, because it's like you haven't met these people, you're not on their payroll, and so not you, these fans, and they contradict themselves, So basically, I just feel a lot of people lack objectivity, whereas you and Hatman, you speak it as best as you can. You speak to, you speak to the best of your ability, and
yeah,
it's the same with me. I don't think I'm as knowledgeable as you two, but I try my best. I'm not going to lie about people. And, I'm like Amir Khan and Kell Brook. I went to Kell Brook's gym recently, but, I got a chance to spar him on camera. But I'm not going to pretend that Khan Brook, they're both past their prime. We know that.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah, I remember 10 years ago, I met those two guys in the same week, and I was talking to them about the fight, and that was 10 years ago. So that's one example. But a lot of people in the media, like Gareth A. Davies, they allow their judgment to be clouded because they're trying to get personal relationships with the fighters, and yeah, what do you think of that?
So, that's one of the reasons I don't do many interviews, is because I used to do a lot, but I'm not willing to tell fighters stuff that I don't believe. Like one time I was interviewing Tony Thompson, and he said he beat Pulev. I said, no, you didn't. Because I watched the fight, he didn't win the fight. And when I told him that, he got off with me like, oh, what's the matter with you? And then sort of like, and then the interview was a little awkward after that. And there was another incident with another heavyweight who I won't mention for now. And I realized they want you to say stuff that you might not believe, to actually cheerlead for them. And that's not always the best way to get the information to the people. You can end up telling them inaccuracies. If I go out there and say, yeah, you did outpoint Pulev, then I'm lying to the people. He didn't, he lost the fight on the scorecards and he did lose. And I wanted him to win actually after he beat David Price, but he lost the fight. That's the bottom line. And I had another incident with Amir Monsieur. Do you remember him?
Of course, yeah.
So he started critiquing Deontay Wilder. I can't remember what he said. And he said something about they had a common opponent. I forgot the guy's name now. And he critiqued him. And I said, but the guy took you the distance. Wilder knocked him out. But you're critiquing him. How does that make sense? And then he got off of me. So I just stick to my boxing weekly. That's my format, really. Weekly format, get a bunch of topics, give my points, put them out. And I've heard boxers haven't liked what I've said. They like, reports have come back to me, but yo, I say what I feel I have to say. I say what I feel I have to say, and that's that. That's that. You know, I try and be as real as possible.
No, but I completely agree with you. And obviously, I've had situations in boxing. Obviously, yeah, you know, face to face, sometimes people challenge you on things you say. I'll name names. Amir Khan once got upset with me because I said, I think Kell Brook knocks him out. Kell Brook got upset with me recently. Well, I recently told Kell Brook to his face. So we were talking about fights. And, you know, he said he wants to fight. He's thinking of fighting Eubank. And I just said to him, I wouldn't fight Eubank if I was you. I think he's too big. He's too fresh. And, you know, he's above your weight class. I said, if I was you, I mean, try and fight Khan, maybe try and fight Conor Benn. Because he mentioned Conor Benn. But when he mentioned Eubank and I said what I said, then yeah, he seemed to be getting an attitude with me. And I confronted him. I just, look, if you don't like it, all you have to tell me to do, just tell me not to come back to your gym again and I won't. But I'm not going to lie to someone. I'm not going to pretend. You can critique me on my knowledge. Like if you think I'm mistaken, yeah, tell me. I've got no issue with that. But I'm very careful what I say to boxers. I only say something if I'm confident in what I'm saying and I know I'm right. I think Eubank's too big for him. And going back to what you're saying, but a lot of people, they get in their feelings. Like, you know, when you talk about fighters losing fights, you know, I had fights last year. I had white collar fights, you know, and I had a fight with Kyle Downey. It was my first fight in 10 years. I don't think he was anything special. I think I could have beaten him, but I 100% agree that I lost the fight. You know, I think the first round wasn't too bad, but then started gassing out. He definitely was. So a lot of these fighters, what's a good example? It's like, but as you said with Mansour, how you can criticize a man for knocking someone out when you've got points with, like you need to humble yourself. And I remember I used to spar Harvard Davies in 2008. I was 2 years older than him. On paper, I had all the advantages, apart from power, but I was quicker, taller, longer arms, you know, a bit more skills. I'm not going to lie, but because O'Hara Davies can punch hard and because he's such a ruthless, aggressive person, I used to allow this younger man to dominate me in sparring, you know. So again, I can articulate it very well. If someone was to bring it up, I have to accept my weakness. I was allowing him to, and I'm not the only person. I know other people that used to spar Hara Davies. The thing is, he doesn't spar. Like, he tries to fight you, and it puts a lot of people off. But I need to accept that it's a weakness I had at the time. It's something I've got to work on. Or a lot of us, like Amir Khan, you know, we all see that you've got weak punch resistance. You know, you can go from trainer to trainer and, I lost because of Freddie Roach, I lost because of this. Yeah, but they can't do anything about the fact you can't take a punch. Yeah. You know, so I 100% I agree with you on that. So is that some, so yeah, go on.
O'Hara Davis is very heavy-handed, isn't he? He's very heavy-handed,
Yes.
quite aggressive. You know, like if you allow him to be aggressive, he's very aggressive. So sparring him, no walk in the park, obviously. But you see, with Kell Brook, you see, boxers have a belief system, and often, you know, like Kell Brook, for instance, he went out to America and beat Sean Porter, and I think he was an underdog. So he defied the odds. So when he says, yeah, he can fight, remember, he tried to fight Golovkin and basically ruined his career. So yeah, he believes he can beat Eubank. Probably believes he can beat a lot of middleweights, probably sparred a lot. And anyone who tells him, no, you can't beat Eubank, you are challenging his belief system, everything that gives him the courage to go in the ring. So yeah, he's going to buck back against you. He's definitely going to buck back. But there's always a line, isn't there, of how far you go with your belief system. Are you going to challenge Deontay Wilder as a 147 pounder, or, you know, Lawrence Okoli? No, obviously it's just way too big for Kell Brook. But, you know, like it's like with the Dave Caldwell video, he's saying Derek can't fight Deontay Wilder. And yes, look, I agree, he would be an underdog going in. He probably would be an underdog. But Wilder's lost his last 2 fights by stoppage. He's been stopped twice. We don't know what shape he's going to go in the ring mentally. Derek has a lot of assets that can test a lot of people. He might not necessarily win, but he'll let them know that they've been in a fight. So, you know, to me, Dave Caldwell setting a limit on him, I've got no problem with that per se, but he should have done it personally. He shouldn't be going on newspapers saying, no, I'm not going to train you if you fight that guy, because he's literally like telling Derek that he's not world class anymore, or you can't be world class, or you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't, like, and to me, that's just not a good place. It's not a good place for him to put Derek in. That's what I felt about it. You know,
I agree. I think it was a very well articulated video, and yeah, look, there is a line. I feel that I'm always polite with boxers. I'll never disrespect you, and this is something I've said before. But it's funny though, like something I've noticed about boxers, sometimes they will actually ask you for your, you know, they want to know what you think. And I've said to people before, if you don't really want to hear what I've got to say, then just don't ask me. But I'm not going to lie. And you know, the situation with Caldwell, I just think, yeah, you're just saying you don't really believe in your fighter. Obviously, he said it publicly. And look, to me, Derek's the underdog, but it's not out of the question he can beat Wilder. You look through boxing history, but how many fights would we pick? Like Ali Foreman, I would have gave Ali very little chance. And, you know, you can go down the list. Yeah, you can go down the list. You can, Tyson Douglas. I mean, Buster Douglas lost to people Mike Tyson dealt with. And, you know, like even recently, what's a good recent example? Gary Russell, the other day he lost. And, you know, the guy who beat him, I thought Gary Russell was too talented for him, you know. So you can go down the list, but I think a lot of trainers, and yeah, this is something I'm going to talk to them about. It's something I want to ask you about. A lot of trainers are sort of celebrity trainers. They build a name for themselves. They become established in the industry. I've seen this. They go to the parties, they go to the media events, and then fighters will go to a particular guy, but it doesn't mean he's someone who's necessarily learned his craft. You know, the Caldwells, the Ben Davidsons, Adam Booth. I respect all of them, but with Adam Booth, I think he was lucky. He had David Haye and George Groves. I mean, these are very explosive and heavy-handed men, Haye and Groves.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but you know, you look at someone like Josh Kelly, Shannon Courtney, Ryan Burnett. If you've got a David Haye, I'm not denying it's still going to take a lot of work. But with a David Haye, he's bringing 70% to the table. When you get people like Josh Kelly and Shannon Courtney that don't have that kind of power, at the age of 18, David Haye's knocking out people at a European level. Listen, I've been around boxing. You know how difficult it is to do that? People like O'Hara Davies, they never got close to that level in the amateurs.
When you get someone like David Haye, when you see him fighting John Ruiz, you can see him, he's going back at one stage, and then he throws a jab and a right cross, and he drops Ruiz while he's moving backwards. that shows what kind of power he has. Like, you can't really teach that. Ali could do stuff like that. If you could knock someone while you're moving backwards and score a full knockdown, you know what I mean? That shows what kind of power he has. So, you know, that style that Booth is teaching is just not like, for Josh Kelly just doesn't have David Haye type power or Nassim Mohammed type power to pull the style off that he's trying. You know what I mean? So it was never going to work. I heard Ben Davison the other day. He started dissing all the trainers in Britain, saying they were lazy. I think they're old and they don't put the work in. And maybe that's something he knows. But to me, his track record is not established enough for him to be so cocky. I think he needs to do more. Like, he got Josh Taylor basically made by Shane McGuigan, you could say. And now, you know, there's another exceptional talent, and that's just landed on his lap. I mean, Tyson Fury as well. Like, Peter Fury taught him how to really box, and Ben just got that in his lap. So he's not as good. I don't think he's as good as what he's saying he is. He definitely ain't as good as what he's saying he is, but probably not as bad as maybe some may say.
Well, with Ben, I'll give you a very objective point of view. I'm 31 now, and, you know, I feel I'm much more mature than, you know, you and me used to talk about 10 years ago, you know, and, you know, if you ever want to bring up any of those conversations, feel free. But the way no, it doesn't matter, all right. The way I'd objectively analyze Ben Davidson, I think he's decent. I think he's competent. But when you're getting people like Tyson Fury that are already at a certain level, but you're not producing them per se. Like, if you gave me Tyson Fury, I think I could have done what Ben Davidson did, because really and truly, Tyson Fury is already 90% there. You just need to get him fit, get the weight off, but he knows how to fight. That's not really something at that stage. You don't need to teach him that. It's like having what's a good example? It's like being a public speaker.
Yeah.
I think you'd make an excellent public speaker, but if you look at someone like, I mean, I'm a very good talker, but if you look at Katie Taylor, if you look at how much public speaking experience she's had, she's not a public speaker. So be objective in what you're saying. It's not, yeah, you got Tyson Fury, but he's already like 90% there. I think any competent, listen, a mainstream gym, one of those trainers could do it, because all you need to do is just get Fury fit. You don't need to teach him any skill. He knows what he's doing. You know, he's picked it up. So, you know, Ben, and I'm gonna try and get an interview with Ben soon. I said, but he's not being objective. Like, the guy's already at a certain, like, take me. This is the quickest way I can explain it. My channel's not the biggest, but if you look at some of my recent videos, I've been getting interviews with Chisora and Parker. I'm not gonna lie. The reason I'm getting access, I've known Matchroom for a long time. So they're basically, I'm getting access to certain situations other people may not. I've known Eddie Hearn for over 10 years. So this is where I'm able to get into certain situations. I know people in boxing. I got mobile numbers I can call up. Can I come to your gym? Can I do this? So if you take someone who's working 5 days a week, it's not realistic for you to do what I'm doing. I'm not saying you can't get there, but it doesn't mean I'm better than you or smarter than you. But there's people in boxing like Don Charles. I've been to their houses. I've known some of these people over 10 years. So that's like me trying to say, oh, I'm a better journalist than Beats. Or I don't know as much about boxing as you do, but that's like me trying to say I know more than you because I'm getting interviews. But it's irrelevant. It's not. Look at why I'm actually going out there. So because I'm going, of course I'm going to get more access. Don't mean I know more about.
You know as much as me in terms of the mechanics of the sport. Maybe more because you actually had fights, but maybe historically you don't know. You couldn't.
No chance.
Right. Yeah.
This is what I'm saying to Ben, and I think it'd be an interesting conversation with us. And I just say, obviously, it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, he does get a bit of flack, but I just said someone like Josh Taylor, but he's already at a certain level. Most people, you know how difficult it is just to get past 2 amateur fights. So when you've got someone who's, most people, like, I've sparred people. I'm not lying. Look, I've sparred people. I work in construction. I've sparred people at work, just body
Yeah,
shots, like messing around. I've never had anyone last more than 2 minutes. You don't even have to hit them. Like just 2 minutes, just walking them down. Most people can't. They can't take the fitness aspect. You
yeah,
know, this is what I say. Like this is what I'm saying to you. Most people they can't even. What's a good way to put it? They can't skip. They can't even hit a speed ball. They wouldn't be able to go 2 rounds on a heavy bag. That's just the basics. And when you've got
yeah.
someone at Josh Taylor's level who can fight, look what he did to O'Hara Davies. I know so many people. I know people in boxing that I know amateur fighters that when O'Hara was a kid and they were older than him, I know they wouldn't want to spar this kid. They wouldn't. They don't want to go in there with O'Hara
Well,
anymore.
even Josh Taylor, after Josh Taylor beat him, said he's very heavy-handed. He said O'Hara is very heavy. He said he's very heavy-handed. After Josh
Yes,
Taylor beat, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm talking
So
from personal experience, and I'm not trying to show off for anyone, but if you're that good, you can do what you did to O'Hara Davies. If you're that good, you can do what you did to Prograis. Look, I've been doing hill sprints recently. Most people struggle to even walk up a hill. So when you've got someone like Taylor who's at that high level, be objective. Like I give, Ben's got some ability, but no, you're not. Like, be honest, mate. It's like, what's a good example? Like, let's say you have David Beckham's son. Obviously, you're going to get more opportunities than the rest of us because of how famous your dad is.
yeah,
Don't mean you're smarter or better than the rest of us, but it's going to open doors. So yeah, just Ben's not being objective.
yeah, yeah. I don't think he is as well. I don't think he is. I don't know what that was all about, that rant. Who he was talking about exactly. He was saying all the old trainers. He was kind of being very dismissive. You know, like Don Charles, a lot of people critique him. I've heard some horrible critiques on Don Charles, and I think some of it has been unfair. I think he done pretty well with Derek. You know, like to take him to Germany and challenge Chisora, they made some good money. Like Don's opened his gyms and his business and his empires, training Derek and making money from fighting and putting in good performances. I think Don's a bit better than what people say. You know.
But the problem is, sorry to jump in, but these people, they're not objective because, again, but look, boxing, I think you're only as good as the fighter you've got. And again, I can articulate it very well. I mean, if you gave me a fighter, I don't train fighters. In my opinion, I think I could manage or promote a fighter, but I don't train fighters. But I can only do what I can based on who I have. If you give me Joshua, if Anthony Joshua gave me a job as his press officer, obviously that's going to give me a lot of influence in boxing. Whereas if you give me someone who's a York Hall fighter or someone who's had 10 amateur fights, they've turned pro.
Yeah, you got your work cut out. You got your
Yeah,
work cut out.
so that's what I'm saying. So they don't really get the mechanics of boxing where it just depends on the person you've got. And someone like Derek, I've been around him. He's not the hardest trainer. He's not the easiest to train. He's an aggressive person. I know this. I've seen it. He's hard to get on with. I met him recently. He was really nice, but he's a very difficult person to get on with. Anyone that's actually worked with him can tell you that. Whereas
Yeah,
Don Charles is one of the easiest people in boxing that I've ever. I'm not the only one. There's so many people that have actually worked with Don Charles. You know, he regardless of your skin color, I'm not someone I don't like bringing up skin color, but Don
right.
Charles, especially if you're of a certain age, Don Charles will treat you like a son. Like he's very accessible what he does for people.
Yeah, I spoke to Don at the York Hall. I spoke to him for a little while. Don's a very, very cool guy. I like Don. I've got a lot of respect for Don. I mean, one of the few people in the industry that I've got time for. To be honest, I don't like many of the people in the industry. I mean, but then again, I'm not going to say they're all bad. I'm saying that could be down to me as well, because you know, I'm just not prepared to kiss ass like that with a lot of them, and a lot of them, you know, they've got a bit of that prima donna ego, you know, and I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to feed it like that. If they've done something good, I'll give them credit for it. But a lot of them, they just want, you know, I don't know. It's even some of the media people, like you're talking about the media, like I'm not going to mention any names. Like you said you've got access to certain amounts of me. There's people like, oh, why is he talking to that guy? And why are they giving him an interview? I know what they're like. I've seen some of them bullying people trying to get interviews. Oh, but because you've only got a telephone camera, you're not a real reporter. I'm thinking, who the fuck are you? Sorry to swear.
No,
Apologize.
yeah, it's right. Yeah, but I've seen it, and yeah, all I'll say quickly with Charles. I'm talking objectively for anyone watching this. I haven't, I'm just telling you what Charles is like. He tries to take you under his wing. He'll treat you like a family member. So if you say, "Oh, he didn't do that good a job with Chisora," but you can only do the best you can with someone. Chisora's not the fastest person. He doesn't train the hardest, and there's only so much a trainer could do. So a lot of these people, they're not objective. And yeah, in terms of what you're saying about media, yeah, it's quite pathetic. It's sad to see. I think about 10 years ago, when I used to be more active than I am now, yeah, I used to have problems with people in boxing. And at the time, because I was young, I didn't know how to articulate it. And I used to take it, I used to blame myself. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But the fact with a lot of people in boxing, they're very egotistical, and they want you to say things which aren't true. Oh yeah, you're doing an amazing job. But obviously I'm not willing to do that. I just say it as I see it. It's not a stunt. It's not sort of, I haven't got any, it's not like a little game that I'm playing. I just tell the truth. And problem is people will attack you for it. And what a lot of media decides, because the problem with people like you, when you've got so many people that are willing to suck up to them, um, if you don't want me to name names, I'll leave it. But I don't really need to name names. It's the big YouTubers.
Yeah,
They're
you don't need
very,
to name names.
yeah, but look, they're desperate to get the access. And look, I'd like access, but where they're willing to lie to them, where they're willing to always take their side in disagreement. Oh, it's completely. I'll give you examples. Yeah, if you look at Mayweather, when he used to say all that stuff about TBE and things like that, and people go along with it. Well, I wouldn't lie to him. I mean, you're saying you're the greatest ever because you've had 47 or 48 or okay, well, Archie Moore had 140 knockouts. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. What best ever, yeah. You lost fights in that as an amateur, and I think So I mean, it's not. I respect Mayweather.
It's a marketing tool.
Yeah,
It's just a marketing tool.
Yeah, but I tell him, I'd have no problem telling him, but you can't really base it. It's circumstantial to say that you've never lost. And well, I mean, but it's circumstantial. We live in a different era. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do those numbers if you was to fight the people Ray Robinson was fighting. The man went from welterweight to light heavyweight. So so that's like Mayweather fighting Hopkins at light heavyweight. So go up and fight Hopkins, go up and fight Chad Dawson, see if you're still undefeated. Also I respect him, but this is what I'm saying. I won't lie about these things. Yeah, I think he's an all-time great, but do I think he beats Thomas Hearns? How's he going to take those right hands? Forget beating him. I don't see how he can go the distance.
No, I don't think he could beat Tommy Hearns. No, I don't see it. I think he could give him a good fight while it's going. He could maybe do well, but beating him is another question. But Mayweather, he found a system after he left Bob Arum of I want some to say cherry picking, but he didn't really, apart from the junior lightweight belt and the lightweight belt, he didn't really keep the belts very long. He'd win a belt, then toss the belt, then go for another vacant belt, then or whatever, and pick someone else up with a belt. He was like a sniper. So he didn't look for the mandatories. He just went for the big fights. Like, okay, I'll fight Pacquiao. That will help seal my legacy. Or he got Mosley just after he beat Margarito. So rather than fight Margarito, he fights the guy who just knocked Margarito out. So like people would say, well, why didn't you fight Margarito as well? Well, he'd say, well, I just fought Mosley, you knocked Margarito out. So he's killing a couple of birds with one stone. But to do that, you've got to be talented as well to keep that going. Because if it goes wrong and you lose that unbeaten record, you can't have it again, and you can't market yourself that, oh, well, I'm beaten, I'm the best. So it took a little talent as well. has to be said. But you know, if he was like just taking on challenges, mandatories all the time at welter and super welter, he would have lost. I think he would have lost. I think most people would have lost. Yeah, he would have lost. Like with Joe Calzaghe, he's got an unbeaten record, but you could argue that when he was he scared to fly planes for so long, and then he finally plucked up the courage and then fought Hopkins in America and then Roy Jones. But if you'd went over there earlier and was taking on the likes of Tony, Tarver, maybe a younger Roy Jones, a younger Bernard, would he have been unbeaten? Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? If he had took on Carl Froch when he retired, would he have been? Who knows? Who knows? But you've got to give him credit for what he done.
Oh yeah, but this is what I'm saying. You've got to be objective, and I feel that I am. Like, recognize people for what they are. Yeah, Calzaghe had a good career. Mayweather had a good career. And remember, I'm not looking down on anybody, but for those of you who don't box, try sparring someone, try having 2 amateur fights, and you'll realize how difficult it is just to get past that point. So I accept Mayweather and Joe for what they were, for what they achieved. But, you know, when Mayweather's trying to say stuff like, yeah, best ever, and nah, you're getting carried away, you know, because, but as I say, compare your era. I mean, you weren't fighting the Haglers and the Mugabes but oh yeah, but be objective though. I'm not saying those fighters were necessarily around, but you know, nah, you know, I don't see you beating Ray
Look, it was
Robinson's.
it's a marketing tool as well, because
Yeah,
oh yeah, he didn't fight the Haglers, the Hearns, but he's made more money than all of them. You know, like he's made more money, and that's through marketing. Like when he left Bob Arum, he started strategizing, and TBE, to me, he probably believes it as well, but a lot of what he done, throwing the money about and all stuff, that's marketing. Like, it's like, okay, even if they come to see me lose, they're gonna pay that ticket price, and they're gonna buy that pay-per-view that's gonna lead up to 2 million pay-per-view sales, and that's how he's made his money. It's marketing, because look, boxing's a short career, and if Mayweather didn't do half the extracurricular stuff he did outside the ring, he probably wouldn't have made the money. Just like Ali, like people are, why are you doing all that? You know, you're poetry, you're mocking your opponents, but that's how he marketed himself. So like a lot of people would come to see Ali lose.
yeah.
You know, and I know you don't want to bring race into it, but a lot of black fighters have had to adapt or adopt that villain thing to sell. Ali, like he was like in the Philippines when he fought Joe Frazier, the people like is it I can't remember, is it Elder Marcos or whatever, they didn't like him. Like the top politicians or presidents and prime, they didn't like him. They preferred Joe Frazier because he was more humble and didn't talk a lot. But this is who Ali was. And he's the one who grew the sport. Without Muhammad Ali, boxing would still be very much what could I say? It just wouldn't have all the endorsements that so many have benefited from without Ali. And he sold it. You had Mike Tyson. When Ali retired, you know, you had obviously you had the Super Four, you had Hagler, Leonard, Duran, and I mean Hagler, Leonard, Duran. Who am I forgetting? Hagler, Leonard, Duran.
Hearns,
Tommy
Leonard.
Hearns. Tommy
Yeah.
Hearns, and obviously and Ray, right? But Tyson, when he came along, he was saying things like, "I wanted to drive the guy's nose bone up into his brain." He was saying stuff like, and some people, oh, that's just going too far. But that's just, you know, how he felt about himself. That he said he just wanted to see what it felt like if his nose bone went into the brain, and that was crazy. Like, you know, but marketing, you've even got to, like Joshua don't say nothing like that, but he hasn't needed to, you know. But a lot of people don't like Joshua's, you know, like so-called politically correct approach. Some people don't like that, but it's worked for him. He's worth about 150 million, I heard. not
Oh,
just off
yes.
ring earnings, endorsements. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You got to make up your mind what you're going to do. If you're going to really go for it, or I don't know. You have a choice, because once you can't fight at a certain level, you can never get to that big money again. And when you get there, you've got to either market yourself or do what you can to get all the money you can in that time period. And that's what Mayweather did. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, look, I would never judge anybody for, in terms of how you want to market yourself. It's not really my place. I don't. I'll talk to you about it, but it's their life, it's their responsibility. The only thing I would say, as someone who follows boxing, and I love the history of the sport, just when fighters get carried away with the things they say. I mean, I don't know, it's like AJ. I remember when he called Lennox a clown. Um, it's between them. It's not my place to get involved in. If you've got a personal problem with Lennox, that's between you two. But if AJ was to say he's got a better legacy than Lennox, that's something I would have a problem with.
oh yeah, 100%. I think I'd agree with that. But there's reasons why he said that. I think because like Lennox was putting him down quite a bit at the time. You know what I mean? But maybe AJ didn't approach it in the right way, but he just said what he felt. He just said what he felt, And it is what it is, man. That's water under a bridge. But like 150 million, like ring earnings and endorsement deals, there ain't too much British fighters gonna do that again after AJ retires. Not many.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not many.
But what is those? It's two separate things. As I say, the way you go about earning your money, obviously that's your choice. And in terms of the things you say, when he called Lennox a clown, I had no problem with that. I had no reaction. Well, that's up to him. But I can't, for me, I like eating porridge for breakfast, but I'm not going to go up to Anthony Joshua and tell him what to eat. So if he's saying something about another person, well, that's up to him. But when it comes to, well, this is what I believe. I want to ask you what you think, but I think there's a separate line. If I'm judging someone on your boxing ability, your place in boxing's history, I think a lot of people are not objective in the way they talk about them. If you want to go to the whole, or they're not knowledgeable enough. If you go to the whole undefeated thing, yeah, look, I think Rocky Marciano was an amazing fighter. He went 49 fights and all. But if you're gonna talk about undefeated, you remember when he fought Ezra Charles, and Ezra Charles broke his nose. Yeah, but
Yeah.
if that fight was today, that fight would have been stopped. So does anybody really think, if you actually sit down and watch, do you think Marciano can beat people like Liston and Foreman and Lennox? Lennox Lewis is 6'5". He's got 50 pounds of muscle on him. And Marciano is like 5'10". I respect all the old timers, but what do you think? Can you see him beating people like this?
What, 6'5" guys with 84-inch reaches?
I'm not saying you can't beat. Sorry,
His
just to
reach is
mention.
probably, you've probably got a longer reach than Rocky.
Well, look, I've met Mike Tyson. I'm same height as Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Also, I know he's old. I'm not saying Marciano can't beat 6'5" men, but not 6'5" men with the ability of Lennox. I don't see that.
Yeah. I don't see it. You see, it's difficult because Rocky took a very good punch, and actually, when he had that unbeaten record, people weren't like, the media weren't like, oh, you're brilliant because you're unbeaten. They actually used to critique him because he had an unbeaten record. They say, well, we don't know what he's like because he hasn't been beaten. See, being unbeaten back then, they would question why you're unbeaten. They wouldn't just say, oh, yeah, you're great. So the standards of journalism have changed as well. They've changed. So they'd say, yeah, we don't know what he's like. What's he like coming back from a defeat? They want to see all these different scenarios that fighters are in. Yeah, we want to see you get defeated. And when you come back, how do you come back from that? So, today's standards are not yesterday's.
you look at something. I, I remember Gareth A. Davies said something. I don't know if you remember. You remember when he said Ebony Bridges is potentially the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing?
I don't know. That's just funny that when he said that. He's a strange guy to me. He's very strange. He's a
Well,
very
look,
strange guy. Like he's just he's a Tyson Fury fanboy.
yeah,
I can't take him serious. Can't take him serious. I can't really take him serious. It's weird. I actually got into a traffic thing with him just round the back of where I live because he's got what was he driving? He drive the blue, was it? It wasn't a Porsche. I can't remember. It was a sports car, classic sports car. I can't remember what it was. I'm not really into cars like that. And like
yeah.
I had to pull in and let him through and whatever, just at the back road there. Yeah, yeah. Strange guy. Like the analogy, like with Ebony Bridges, it was all over the place. His journalism is all over the place. For
But
me.
this is what we're talking about. I'm not attacking him on a personal level. I've met him since he said that. We've spoken. I just haven't had enough time to. There's always too many people around. But when he said that Ebony Bridges is potentially the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing, I'll show you how silly it sounds. I don't understand the thought process. Muhammad Ali, by the age of 18, he was an Olympic gold medalist. You know, she's got she's got very low amateur background. By about age 22, Muhammad Ali was world heavyweight champion, and he was a world famous political figure. I respect Ebony Bridges, and I'll say it to her, and I have actually said it to her face. Obviously, she promotes herself based on her sexual attraction to a lot of these men online. I don't really understand how you can compare the two. I remember she's a woman. There is not the same demand for women's boxing that there is for men. You know, it's like you can't. What's a good way? It's like people are not comfortable with the idea of a lot of people. I don't mind women's boxing, but you know, a lot of people are not comfortable with the idea of women boxing. So I don't understand the parallel, or I don't. In what sense is she the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing? Well, she's from Australia, isn't she? Muhammad Ali's from America. Muhammad Ali was a massive national figure in his country, whether he was hated or not. Ebony Bridges, nobody cares about her in Australia. That's why she's got to come running to the UK for fights. So I don't. On what basis are you saying she's the Muhammad Ali? You're gonna have to explain it to me. And what? So who she beat? She lost to Shannon Courtney, and she fought that French woman, Gangloff Maylies. They gave
Yeah,
the decision.
Gangler beat her. Look, Gangler
So,
beat her. Look,
so,
look, what he
so what
was
are you
trying
on?
to do, yeah, because he had a woman there, he thought he had to appease her. So what can I say to appease her? Oh, you're the Muhammad Ali. You can be the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing, and it's just like, I don't know. What is it you don't like about women's boxing?
I mean,
Yeah.
oh no, I think you must have misheard me. I don't mind it. What did I? All I said was it's not the same level as men's. They're not
Oh, I
as.
thought you said you didn't like women's boxing.
Oh no, no. So yeah, you must have missed. No, I don't mind it.
Okay, sorry, my mistake.
It's all right. If I did, I just openly say it. But look, I'll just make another quick point. If you look at what Muhammad Ali was saying in his 20s, you know, he was talking about politics. He was talking about the Nation of Islam, etc., etc. If you look at Ebony Bridges' Twitter feed, a lot of it is her making sexual jokes and innuendo and flirting with men online. So I just it's pathetic to compare her to him. I tell you, what, if I was going to compare, I can't think of any female boxers I'd compare to Ali. If you want to talk about women, I'd compare, I don't know, Eleanor Roosevelt, Michelle Obama, but someone like Ebony Bridges. I'm not judging her, but she doesn't talk about politics, does she? So I don't understand. And if you look at her as a fighter, well, at the age of 22, Ali beat Liston. Is Ebony Bridges the best fighter in her weight class? Well, no. And
Well,
I
the
don't
question
understand.
is Gareth Davis as a journalist. I can't. I don't take like I don't like even if he. I don't take him serious. I don't. I don't take him serious. Like what you said with he's kind of the key guy who started it. Oh, AJ's going to take the step aside, the 15 mil. Where's the 15 mil going to come from? If Tyson Fury said he's not going to pay Deontay Wilder to step aside because he want, like, why is he going to pay AJ 15 million? And it would have took less for Wilder to take the step aside money. Where's it coming from? Saudi Arabia? Bob Arum ain't paying it out. Bob Arum ain't giving no one no 15 million, and then he's got to give Dillian money. So he started that. I just don't take him serious. It's kind of like Rick Glazer. He gives out all the numbers. Oh yeah, they only did these pay-per-views. They did so much pay-per-view, but he's full of it as well. He said Tyson Fury didn't get suspended by UCAD when he clearly did.
I remember.
Yeah, and like he's doing that because he's trying to get in Bob Arum's good books. These guys are supposed to be real journalists of boxing. So they're out there, and you can't really take them serious. They're out there, like, hey, listen, I've been offered to say things and like offered money to say things. And maybe they haven't paid me enough. I said no. I don't know. If they gave me enough, maybe I'd say it. I don't know. Maybe I would. It's easy to say what you won't do for money until it's offered to you.
Yeah, well, look, I respect everyone on a personal level, but yeah, I'm aware of the Rick Glazers. I've never met him, but I've met his type. And yeah, it's just you make these comments, and well, I think I've covered Gareth A. Davies enough, but you just say these things to try and stroke people's egos, and you're not respecting the sanctity of boxing, the history of boxing. You're not making rational points. That's how I'd analyze it. And someone like Rick Glazer, yeah, he makes all these attacks. He attacks Al Heyman, he attacks so and so. But I mean, Rick Glazer, whatever age he is, I'd argue though, but why is it you're not achieving more in boxing? Because when I was 20, when I was a kid, I was going around America. I was getting into people's gyms. I met the Bob Arums, and so why are you not establishing your trade in boxing? I think a lot of people in boxing, they try to, instead of learning their trade, instead of becoming good at their job, they do this. They attack people. They try and make a name for themselves. They try and become people's henchmen. But yeah, a lot of the stuff he says is nonsense. But a lot of people in boxing are like that. And yeah, I've received offers before. I don't think I've ever been offered money. I don't think I have, but no, I've been offered tickets and access. But I don't want to lie. I'm more honorable than that. I don't want to pretend. What's a good example? But again, going back to Mayweather, I once almost basically had an argument with Richard Schaefer at a press conference, and it was okay, but yeah, he's just trying to get me to say that Floyd's this and he's that, and well, I wasn't comfortable doing it, and he wasn't happy about it, But yeah, something like Rick Glazer, as I said, I've got nothing personal, but how would you analyze this? A lot of people, okay, this is what I say about Rick Glazer. He's always talking about what the Al Heymans and so on, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. But if I was going to talk to him, I'd say, but you're probably the same age bracket as Al Heyman. What's stopping you from going out and learning why don't you do it? Why are you talking about other people? Like me, I got my own YouTube channel. I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do. You're trying to do what you're trying to do. So what do you think of that? People like Rick Glazer, why are you just talking? Why not just go and work with your own fighters? Show us what you can actually do.
Look, I don't mind him talking, but at least try and be accurate with some of the stuff that you're saying. Like to say, he tried to say that, what did he say? That the British Boxing Board of Control refer to BoxRec about drug protocol over UCAD. I said, well, are you serious? I said, UCAD actually do the testing. How are they going to refer to BoxRec over UCAD? He said, because Fury's record, his suspension, wasn't listed in BoxRec's list of suspensions, then it doesn't mean anything. I mean, he's saying if it's not in BoxRec, then it's not important. I said, this guy's crazy. Tyson Fury even admitted, not that he took it, but he took liability that the nandrolone was in his system. He just said, he just reckons he doesn't know how it got in there. He took liability, and Rick's still arguing that he never took it. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I saw you tweeted him about that. All I can say from a common sense point of view, I don't know the details, but I'm assuming, well, Tyson Fury is a top ranked fighter. And then what a lot of people do, they just try, because obviously he's probably just trying to get in with Bob Arum. So they'll defend their favorite fighter really hard. But I remember that. I remember when Tyson and his cousin Huey both had something in their system. Now, I don't know what they talk or what happened. But Rick Glazer, I don't know if he's even been to the UK before. So I don't know how you're involving yourself in, but you don't know the facts. So you're just going based on emotion or ulterior
Yeah.
motives. Well,
I showed him UCAD's website, like with the statement. And like, no, that doesn't mean anything. If it's not in, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, what it is, man, like, he's older than me. I don't know how old he is, but he's older than me. He's one of them guys who is never going to grow up. He's like a little kid, basically. And, he's very stubborn. The way, when he can't get his own way, he talks like a kid. And, just who he is. Just who he is.
I've got nothing personal against him, of course, but I just look, you're talking about stuff you don't know about, because I've been in camp with Tyson Fury before. I've sparred with him. He was kind enough to spar me on camera. I've interviewed him, I've been around him, I've been in the gym with him on multiple occasions. But I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't have any inside knowledge. I can't tell you if they say Fury's failed a drugs test because he took such and such, I can't defend him. I'm not with him 24/7. So I wouldn't lie. Oh, I know he's innocent because he's my friend. Well, I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. It's like with Rick, you're not, when you're saying what he said about UCAD, yeah, but if they've tested him and they've said he's failed, then I don't know who you are to claim otherwise. So if I met him, also if I interviewed him online, I'd question him on this. I'd say, but what are you basing your arguments on? And oh yeah, listen, there's ways and means around anything. I'll name. I remember something Isaac Chamberlain was saying once, and Isaac Chamberlain said the thing with testing, when you're going to be tested, generally. So it's like there's ways and means around these systems. Fighters are not tested year round. It's only if they're in camp, and it's only if they've signed up to it. So there's ways and means. If you go abroad on holiday, if you go camp elsewhere, sometimes they can't get to you. So there's ways and means around things. Also, it's like there's ways and means around in boxing. People know each other, make phone calls. The loopholes. It's like, come on, Rick, you should know better than that.
But it's like is it Chris Billiam Smith?
I know him.
Conor Ben, and who else? A couple more British fighters. They were making a big deal of it because they didn't enroll in the CPB by the WBC, and that don't mean that they're guilty of anything though, because
no.
Like if you enroll on that, like it doesn't mean anything, because unless you pay them, you've got to pay them more and more and more to get regular testing. You've got to give them a lot of money, or they might come see you once every 6 months or once every year. So
Well, I'm not an expert, but to the best of my knowledge, and anybody watching this, use your common sense. Thing is, look, if they know when they're going to be tested, the perception, what I've sort of heard from people in boxing, yeah, but a lot of these drugs, like if you do it in between, it'll be out of your system before they test you. I mean, how many? Because like alcohol, I don't drink, but I'm sure a lot of people drink. Obviously, if you go and you drink on the weekend or whatever, it's going to be out of your system in a certain amount of time. So this is things you've got to take into context. So fighters will take things in between camp, they'll benefit from it, and then when they know they're going to get tested, it's out of their system, but they've already benefited from the side effects. So these are things, it's just common sense, Okay, how many people have committed crimes and not gotten caught? Because what is it the law says? It's got to be proven in court beyond reasonable doubts. How many
Yeah.
times, if you watch The Godfather, I mean, they bribe witnesses, or I'm not saying boxing per se, but say any crime, they bribe witnesses or they threaten you and so. I know, I'm not trying to show off or whatever. I know someone who committed crimes against his own family. Nothing that serious, but look, it went to court. But basically, the mum, these are people I know on a personal level. The mum begged people not to testify. So how many, 4 people, because of the mum, they chose not to testify. And the guy was found innocent when he was guilty, but
Wow.
nobody was willing to, it wasn't anything serious, nobody died or whatever, but she begged them. And, she's a woman of a certain age. So they just said, it's water under the bridge. That's something I know on a personal level. And they actually retracted their statements. So the court was trying to say, read the statement that you had, that you wrote, that you first gave in. And yeah, they just refused, and they said, "Oh, I didn't know what I was saying at the time." And the court had no choice but to find the guy, you're cleared of all charges. But he was definitely guilty, but they just didn't want to testify against him. So I'm sure there's examples like that all over the world. If you look at Mexico, when you look at these gang killings and they cut your head off and all this sort of stuff. Well, what's his name? Pablo Escobar from I forget what country he was from, but who's going to
Um,
test?
can't remember.
Was it
Yeah, I know what you're
Venezuela?
talking about.
But I think Pablo
Um,
Escobar,
Colombia, not Colombia. No,
Colombia.
is it
Yeah,
Colombia? Yeah.
but you take these massive drug lords. Look, we all know they commit crimes, but would you be willing to testify against these people? Pablo Escobar was getting police officers killed in broad daylight. Would you be willing to testify against that man? He was
But
killing. He
look
killed
at Tyson
journalists.
Fury's case. Look at
Yeah,
Tyson Fury's case with the PEDs. Like the farmer came out because he said that Frank Warren, they were supposed to pay him some money and he didn't get it. So he started going to the press and saying, yo, they took this and they told me to develop these cows and make them fit to eat. They wanted these animals, that animals. And when he done that, what happened again? Like the case got opened up again, and UCAD wanted to talk to him, the board and the authorities. They wanted more answers because now the case came back up. Then all of a sudden, Martin Carefoot said, "I don't want to go any further with this," and he dropped it. And we've never heard from him since. Someone probably went you know who manages Tyson Fury, yeah?
MTK, yeah.
Yeah, and one particular individual. Kinahan,
Yeah, of
right?
course, Daniel Kinahan, yeah.
Yeah. So look, he could have just sent someone round to Mark Carefoot and told him, look, you need to stop this right now. What's he gonna say? He's not. I mean, well, you want to get his legs blown off, or end up in some cement mixer or something? No, he's probably just gonna calm down now. Gonna calm down. They might threaten to do his wife in or his kids or anything. So, we haven't heard from him, which to me was weird because he really wanted to talk. When he started talking, he really wanted to. Then all of a sudden, no comment. I don't want to talk about it. So look, think people can get things done. It's not just MTK. Don King's had heavy men in there. Bob Arum, they've all got heavy men. Apparently, Lou DiBella knows heavy people, and that's boxing's always had that element there, where they've had heavies and thugs on payroll to get the job done, to silence certain people, bribe certain people. It's always been like that. Boxing is a dirty sport. Well, look, the world of business is dirty. The world of business is dirty. Where there's a lot of money, there's ways of silencing people and ways of covering stuff up. Let's just say that.
Well,
And threatening to put someone in a cement mixer would definitely work. You know what I mean?
of course it would. But I remember that situation very well. And basically what the farmer said, he said that he was offered a bribe. He had to say that it was his fault that the Furies ate contaminated pigs, boar meat. That's what they were saying. Oh yeah, the nandrolone was in the boars, uncastrated wild boar. And yeah, then he said they offered me 20 grand, and all of a sudden he started going quiet. In my opinion, I'll give you an objective point of view. I absolutely believe for him to go quiet again, either someone did bribe him, either they've gone round his house and here's 5 grand in cash, shut up,
Yeah.
or they threatened him. So because to just go quiet like that, and even me, I'll give you myself as an example. Yeah, I'll always tell people the truth. If you ask me, if say Wilder, the first Wilder Fury fight, if Wilder says to me, "Do you think I won the fight?" I'd say no. I don't mind telling people the truth about what I think of their ability and so on. But I'll say this publicly. I'll admit this. First of all, there are definitely threats and gangsters in boxing. That's definitely a fact.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, in terms of how I would react, I'm not really scared of people threatening me. Like, it's not something I think about a lot, but I'm gonna bring up MTK. I'll be honest, MTK are not really people I want to attack on camera. Not because I'm scared of them. Like I've seen the Kinahan documentary, but I'm gonna be very honest. If any fans are watching this, I don't really want to attack MTK because it's not really going to get me anywhere. I'm not, no one in boxing is going to talk to me about them. And whereas I'm now trying to work in boxing, I've got different ideas that I want to try and do. Thing is, MTK could just shut me out of boxing if they wanted.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
I
They
don't,
could. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's fair on me. Because if I was going to start attacking Kinahan publicly, and like I'm mentioning his name on camera now, I don't mind. I'm not scared of Kinahan coming around to punch me up or whatever, but I don't think it's fair. I'm 31. You got people, me and Coogan started at the same time. Where you got all these other people in boxing that they don't know as much about boxing as I do. They're not as passionate and they're all living their lives. They're making whatever money they're making. So yeah, I wouldn't really, like I know people in MTK that I've spoken to on the phone as well. So yeah, if they said to me, look, you've been attacking Daniel Kinahan on camera, you better stop. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'd stop because I don't want to get shut out of boxing. It's not fair on me. The only way
Oh,
I
yeah.
would do it if I felt that I'd get a lot of support from fans and I could still have a living, I might do it, but I'm not going to get that. I'd get shut out of
Yeah,
matchroom
yeah,
press
yeah. You'll
conferences.
never talk to none of this. You'll never talk to an MTK managed fighter. You'll never talk like when Billy Joe Saunders lost. Like you mentioned one of the channels. They've done a lot of stuff to appease MTK when Billy Joe because Billy was like critique Daniel Dubois. You quit, but he quit himself. And they put up a lot of videos where they said, yeah, Billy quit. They took all the videos down, but they didn't do that for Daniel Dubois. They're all up there,
I remember if
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
same
yeah,
if it's
yeah.
the same channel I'm thinking about, they're sponsored by MTK. They get I'll give you a quick example. If you're talking about Billy Joe quitting, what he did, I don't mind talking about that. So to be honest, I think I'd get away with it, in my opinion. But I'm not comfortable like making personal accusations about Kinahan on camera. No, I'm not
No, it's not a good idea. I wouldn't do that either. That was me who suggested that with Martin. That wasn't you. That was me.
Oh yeah, I know. But I'm just giving you examples for fans. Obviously, I'm not saying Beats you said anything, but fans, I need you to understand what people in boxing are like. There's ways of reaching people. Like with Kinahan, they wouldn't need to threaten me on a physical level. Like if they just said, and I actually spoke to someone who works for MTK about 2 weeks ago over the phone. It was a nice conversation. Like if MTK want to reach me, they know how to get in touch. And if they just implied, oh, we're going to ban you from everything, yeah, I'd back down. Like as an example. So I'm just, if you want me to be honest, yeah, I'm just trying to tell fans, this is what people in boxing are like, you know. So I don't. Maybe I've gone off point, but yeah,
No, not at all.
yeah.
Not at all. Not
Oh
at
yeah,
all. Look, if you want access to the fighters and stuff, look, if you want an easy life, then just say, say things that will make the fighters happy. Don't call out things that you suspect might be happening, but you ain't got no proof on. Just leave that alone and just keep it basic. Just talk about the fights, the fighters, how's training, champ, and how's the camp, and how's the dog, how's and just keep it there. Just keep it very, even keel, and don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, and you can make a good living from it. A lot of them, there's a few channels who have made a good living, but you got to be consistent. You got to be loading up the tripod into the van every day and make sure you're there. This event. It's hard work. A lot of people have probably seen it. Oh, I want to do boxing media, but it's hard work. Like if a lot of people are probably thinking, I'm just going to be there drinking champagne or with Eddie and mingling with the boxers. I don't have to. No, you have to work. You have to work hard. You know what I mean? You're going to have to work hard, man. And that's what it is. It's a job. It's a job. And you try and keep your nose out of people's, but you see certain people when you're there, because you're going to get access to a lot of stuff that I won't see, that a lot of people listening to this interview won't see. And you've got to turn a blind eye to it. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. That's what you have to do. Because anything controversial, they're going to keep you out of the circle. They will keep you out of the circle. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and that's just the reality. In terms of how we started this, we were talking about the farmer. This is just the reality in boxing. Like, if you don't think people get threatened in boxing, you're very naive.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Yeah, but not you. It's obviously fans. They might not get. That farmer situation, to me, was either threatened or he was bribed. Had to be one of them. And if you're going to threaten him from a common sense point of view, they'll just tell him, look, we can get you anytime. We know where you live. We know where your family, your kids go to school. Like, police can't protect you 24/7. That's what make it look like, I don't know.
And they'll make it look like he got mugged on the street or something. There's some thug on the street. They're not going to just do it and, we can trace it back to them. They're going to do it all properly. They're going to do it all properly, listen, when Tim Witherspoon was champion and he was promoted by Don King, he had to purchase a gun. Because Don King, he had a lot of people he used to work with, like Al Braverman, who threatened, what's his name? Alex Waller from ABC when he was exposing certain practices they would do when they were networking tournaments. Yeah, you have to roll with a gun. But America is a different level, probably a different level to the UK. But in saying that, there's been a lot of corruption in British boxing for years. Lots. When Jack Solomons was the top promoter in the 40s and 50s, there was fixed fights. Yeah, they fixed the fight for Bruce Woodcock, obviously fixed. And check this out, right? You wouldn't get this today. He was the main promoter in Britain, Jack Solomons, yeah? And he had a chain of betting shops.
Wow.
So you could put, I ain't gonna say anything. You could put 2 and 2 together and say, well, you've got a chain of betting shops and you're the top promoter. And you've got access to all them fighters. You can't get a few of them. Like it was who was the guy again who Woodcock fought? Joe Baxley. He came over here. They don't have film of it, but they said, he wasn't hit. He just fell to the floor. He fell to the floor, and apparently a lot of money was bet on him losing early. Just fell to the floor. And then you've got Benny Huntsman, who was kind of connected to Freddie Mills. Shady character. He used to work with the mob from the UK and he used to broker a lot of deals. So when people say, Britain's really nice and this don't happen over here, that's a load of crap. That's a load of crap, right? Mickey Duff. They used to call Mickey Duff, Mike Barrett, and Jarvis Astaire the cartel. And basically, they told Ken Buchanan you won't be fighting on TV or any other, unless you leave your manager and sign with the cartel. That's it. And he ended up doing it. He ended up doing it. And that's what they used to do. They had a monopoly on who was going to fight on the cards, on television. They had this massive monopoly. Massive monopoly.
Oh yeah, Frank Warren. Oh, sorry, I thought you finished talking. Go on.
No. You can go. You can go. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Frank Warren came along and broke that cartel. Yeah, but look, I remember, if you remember Jake LaMotta, Jake LaMotta agreed to fixed fights, and well, look, boxers are just people, and obviously the powerful people in boxing, you learn how to manipulate fighters. So yeah, look, fixes happen. Oh yeah, I'll give you a very quick story. This should be interesting to anyone watching this. Right, listen to this. Yeah, I was on the train once. I think it was like 2018, New Year's Day. I'm on the train, underground, and then I see a guy just sitting on the train looking miserable. So I sat a seat away from him. Then I just started trying to talk to him. I was like, come on, it's New Year's Day, and this guy told me he's actually a boxer. So he's saying, yeah, he's boxed on Matchroom shows and so on. And he never actually told me his name. And obviously he didn't know who I am. He didn't know I'm a boxing fan. But he's fought on Matchroom shows and a few other shows, and his career's not working out. And he told me he was once at a boxing show, and he got told, if you win this fight tonight, you're not leaving this place. He said he got told that. And then the first words out of my mouth were, I said, who threatened you? Was it, forgive me, but I said, was it Frank Warren? And he's like, nah, he never told me, he would never tell me who it was. But obviously he had no reason to lie to me. And, he's saying, the fight was at your call. And he's like, yeah, if you win this fight tonight, then you're not leaving this place. So, he had no reason to lie to me. So I have to take him at his word. What do you think of that story?
It's credible. It's credible. Listen, it's credible, man. It's credible. It's credible. It's credible. I can say some stuff which I'm not going to do because I don't want to get either myself or in trouble. Yes, it's credible. It's definitely credible. Was it a black guy or a white guy?
Black guy.
Okay. You know why I asked, right?
I know.
You know why I asked, because a lot of times they want to, because a lot of the money, like the York Hall, like East End, there's a lot of the Caucasian gangsters, and they want to promote their fighters. And this what you're saying there is not uncommon. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. I spoke to the British flyweight champion, a black British. I'm not going to say his name because I can't do that to him. I know him and his kids. And he told me a lot of stuff about referees like Dave Paris, and the sport is dirty. The sport is dirt and it's not just Britain and America. Everywhere the sport is rotten, more than because it's not regulated like that. It's a rotten sport, rotten. But even in football, you get match fixing. I reckon it still goes on today, But where there's a lot of money, corruption isn't far away. Wherever there's a lot of money, corruption is not far away. Sounds cynical, but that's the absolute truth. Absolute truth.
No, but look, you and me we're deep thinkers, and I'm not looking down on anybody who watches this, but see, a lot of people, they're not really deep thinkers. You don't understand there's different people in life, and there's people in boxing. So you got fans that are just happy to sit back and watch. And like take this whole AJ 15 million. I knew straight away that's rubbish. 15 mil's too much. And look, Usyk, I'd say it briefly. Look, Usyk doesn't speak English. If he was to walk around the streets of London, how long is it going to take him to get recognised? The fight's not going to do that much. Like,
Exactly.
Well, we're just going to chuck away 15 mil. But come on. Like, if it was like 1 or 2 mil, okay. But 15 mil. This is not Ali Tyson. the fight's not going to generate that much money. 15 mil. So what's going to happen?
That's just Joshua, right? Dylan's going to have to get paid as well, right? So who's putting all that money up?
What? So Fury and Usyk are going to fight for free then, by the sound of it.
Basically, because look, the last time Fury was going to do pay-per-view over here, right? The tickets weren't selling for a start. And a lot of people said the foot injury was to mask the fact the fight wasn't selling. And the first fight with Klitschko, I think, how much pay-per-view? I think it done 600,000, which ain't a bad number. But if you compare that to Joshua against Klitschko done about 1.5, done double that, and then some. You know what I mean? So, and the first fight was really boring. So it's unlikely people are going to pay more to watch the rematch. You know what I mean? And we don't know if Tyson Fury can produce. Listen, the only way you're going to pay AJ 15 million is if you can guarantee that the Usyk fight does 3 million. If you can do 3 million or I don't know, maybe 2 million pay-per-view buys or something, then yeah, you can pay him that. But unless the Saudis are going to come up with that, who's coming up with that money?
No, they're not. They're not that stupid. Well, I mean, even if the fight did do that many pay-per-views, it's just too much money to chuck away. They'll just say, forget it, let him fight Usyk. I mean, look, the Saudis don't care. Well, the Saudis don't really care who's fighting who. They're just looking for numbers. So they're not going to chuck. The Saudis don't care about the sanctity of boxing, and
they don't care about that. They just look. The Saudi boxing is basically, we put on a show, right? All the rich people turn up, they have a good time. They don't care about undisputed. They just want to get 2 credible boxers and some good fights, get that going, and have a good evening. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to see Usyk fight that much. Like not being funny, right? He didn't knock Joshua out, and he says he held back. Well, if he did, well, he's messing up his market. If he could have knocked Joshua out, he should have done. Because people want to see knockouts, really.
Yeah.
If you can knock someone out, then your market value goes up, right? And see, after Fury knocked out Wilder twice, let's put Fury in a different. You know what I mean? People talk about him differently now. You've got to knock people out. Like you say, he doesn't talk English. In America, like Americans, like no disrespect to Americans, but they haven't got much patience with that. And people who can't talk the lingo, they haven't got much patience with that. They're not going to wait for him to, you know, get an interpreter out and listen to him. They don't really care.
Yeah. What I was going to go into, so the reason I brought that up, the thing a lot of boxing fans don't really sort of get, you got fans that are happy to just sit back and watch, and they're happy to spend all day talking about 15 mil. But then you've got other people whoever you want to name, I'm not going to take any personal shots, but obviously Eddie Hearn's come along into boxing. He's got different ambitions where he wants to do what he wants to do. I've got ambitions where I want to do certain things. I want to meet the Al Haymans. I want to meet, I spoke to Steve Goodwin recently. I'm going to interview him soon. But something I've started saying to people is I want to work in boxing. And yeah, you can keep naming names. Kugan Cassius, Bob Arum, etc., etc. People have got ambitions for what they want to do in boxing. And some people, talking about the whole gangster theme, I'm not going to name anyone, and I don't have enough evidence to name anyone, but there are going to be people who want power in boxing, and they're willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means going outside the law. So what I'd say to people, if you don't believe that, then you're very naive. Some people, we all want money. Some people are happy to go and work. Some people are happy to rob banks. Some people are happy to rob people on the street. I mean, what Bernard Hopkins, didn't he used to mug people? Mike Tyson, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just pointing out people have got different mentalities. So, there is that criminal element to boxing, and I'll leave it at that because I don't have enough evidence to name names but you're naive if you don't think there's stuff going on in boxing.
Oh, listen, it's always been there. It's always the criminal element. Like the Crays were big fight fans and had a lot of influence. They were good friends with Freddie Mills and stuff, and a lot of people say, I don't like, you know what I mean, that when he died or got murdered, they was around it. Their name comes up. Few of the other thugs and stuff like that. They were all around the fights. All the thugs of that time, they was all around the boxing scene. They was all around it. So when you said what you said about York Hall was one of them venues. Yeah? Like it's East End. If you know, if you know anything about London and the East End and gangsterism, you know what I mean? Yeah, boxing is I mean, all part of that. It's all part of that, man. All part of that. All part. Anything can happen in boxing. Anything. Like Audley's been on Twitter quite a lot recently, and a lot of people keep saying, "Oh, you're just making up what you said." No, he's not making up what you said. Because he went alone with A-Force Promotions and signed a deal with BBC, and he didn't go with Frank Warren. He didn't go with Eddie, with Eddie's dad, Barry. He didn't. He went alone, and he's bucking the trend. He's going against the machine, right? You're gonna make enemies. When you do that, you're gonna like. I know this firsthand, right? Anyone associated with Barry Hearn, they didn't like what he did. Anyone associated with Frank Warren, they didn't like. And I was told, and I can't say, the British Boxing Board of Control didn't like him doing it. Right?
Yeah.
Because where do you think these people in the British Boxing Board of Control get their money? They don't make money. They get their money from Barry and Frank. That's where they get their money. And so, like when he did that, and when he went on Big Brother, Frank Maloney told him, "Yeah, we was never gonna let you get powerful, Audley." Frank Maloney told him when he turned into the woman, and it was in the Big Brother house.
I saw that.
She told him that we couldn't let you get big, Audley, going alone. Told him, admitted it. But look, boxing full of dirty, like it is what it is. It is what it is, man. You know. And if you fall foul of them people, you know, they'll block you. They'll either list you out the game, or they'll do whatever they have to do to climb over you.
Yeah, well, it's happened. It's happened to me. It's happened to Steve Bunce, Kugan Cassius. You know, we've all been banned from press conferences before. You know, how many people in boxing have gone through lawsuits? And I've seen that. I did see that footage when Kelly Maloney told Audley. But look, the thing is, when people say, I've seen the stuff Audley's been saying, but when they say this stuff like, "Oh, Audley's bitter, or he doesn't know what he's talking about," but you're talking from a very naive point of view. You're not. I don't know what you lot do for a living, and I'm not looking down on anybody, but you're looking at life through a bubble. If you don't think people are going to do different kinds of things, even if I use myself as an example, I'm going to make a very interesting point. My channel's quite small. I'd argue, so I've got less than 1,000 subscribers. You've got people like IFL who've got 700,000 subscribers.
Right.
I mean, some people say they buy their subscribe. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd argue from an objective point of view, I shouldn't be getting access to people. I've been getting interviews with Hearn, Chisora, Parker, Dave Caldwell. You could argue I shouldn't be getting access to these people. But what people don't understand, and there's people with bigger channels than mine who aren't getting this kind of access. I'll be honest, I've got ways and means. I've got numbers I can call people at Matchroom and say, "Look, help me out. You know, I'm trying to do this." I can do that. And that's because the thing is, yeah, for those of you who don't know, if you go to a Matchroom press conference, you need to get past security. You're not like you can't just sneak in. You know, you've got every entrance covered. You know, if your name's not on the list, like you're not getting in. So I'm not trying to show off, but I'm just pointing out, you could argue the case, I should not be getting access. It should be, you know what, Michael, obviously we've known you a long time. We remember you used to go by the name Apollo Jackson, but you know what, mate, your channel's a bit too small. So for now, we can't let you in. Now, if they said that, that's business. I wouldn't take it personally, but I've got ways and means of getting around it. There's people in boxing, I've been to their homes before. So I can call different, I can call the security. Like, I know people in boxing. I'm not trying to show off. But if you look at my videos, I've sparred Kell Brook. I've got Dominic Ingles' phone number. So I've got ways and means I can get myself into these situations. So it's the same thing where there's things that happen behind the scenes of boxing. And when you talk about Uli Harrison, this is what I'm trying to get at. If you don't think people are going to conspire behind your back, because that's what I do, I'll conspire with people to try and, not just the boxers, I know a lot of their team members. So I say, oh, can you give me the address? Let me know when the press conference is going to happen. And, I'll get myself in. But it's the same with Audley. If you don't think these people were conspiring against him, you're very naive. And yeah, I wouldn't really take any notice of what these people say because, as you said, Kelly Maloney admitted it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously at the time they'll try and lie. Oh yeah, we wish Audley all the best and so. But no, he's a threat to business. Like, what do America do if you're a threat to their interests? They
Yeah.
call it a preemptive strike.
Well, look at Eddie. Like, look at Eddie out there, like in America. Like, they'll do anything to try and stop him making fights because they don't want. They don't need the extra competition. You know what I mean? They'll do anything to halt him. You know what I mean? They'll do what they have to do because he's a foreigner as far as they're concerned. You know. And like in the end, they broke him because he ended up signing with Frank Warren and he ended up signing with Eddie as well. So they got their way with Audley because BBC, they closed the deal down saying that it wasn't value for money, and they stopped broadcasting boxing shortly after. It is what it is. It is what it is, man.
A quick point, but going by that, thing is, but a lot of people, they don't really look at it on a deep level. And what happened with Audley, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable about it, but obviously they've got all the heavyweights signed up. So if you're not going to do business with them, then you're just not going to get anyone to fight. It's like with me right now. Obviously I don't really sort of deal with Frank Warren promotions. I don't really get on with them. Enough, less the better. But obviously with the other ones, with the Matchroom, Sky Sports Boxer, and so on, if I decided I'm not going to work with Matchroom and Sky, well, I'm going to be in trouble. My ability to get to progress in boxing, I get on very well with Matchroom. I get on well with Sky Sports Boxer, Adam Smith, Johnny Nelson, Top Rank. I know some of the people at Top Rank. Now, if I was to just fall out with these sort of people, but then I'm limited because I'll have nobody left to work with. Then you got Goodwin Boxing, but if I fell out with them as well, so that's what I'm saying about Audley. He had no choice but to work with these people, or that's it. You're not gonna get
Well, you
your
see,
bills.
this is why I've kind of built my channel. Like, I'm only at 13,000, which is not a big number for a boxing channel. It's just okay. But if I chose to expand it, I could expand it without having to get a whole load of contacts. So I can just see. I'm kind of independent from having to go out there and I have to talk to Eddie, I have to talk to Thing. But if I wanted to kind of like invest in more sophisticated, stuff to make the videos, I could do that. I could do all that, but and I don't want to have to be relying on talking to Ben Shalom or Eddie or anyone else, or all the fighters that are signed. I never want that to be the case. I never want that to be the case. Because in a way they control you, like you said. Like, so if for instance you get banned from a press conference, then you could end up getting blackballed by everybody.
Yeah. Look, to me, you're a throwback. I respect that about you, and yeah, you know, you got to forge your own path. And for me, look, what I'll say quickly, the best way to explain it, when I talk to them, I do tell people the truth. I had a good interview with Adam Smith recently, and I told him, you know, I was telling him sometimes you're putting fights on pay-per-view that aren't pay-per-view worthy, and you try to pretend that it is, but it's not. So I'm able to get away with. I'll tell people the truth, but the quickest way for me to explain it, like I wouldn't, as I've already said, I would not get personal with Daniel Kinahan. No chance. That's not something I want to. No, I'm not scared of him on a physical level, but if I started doing that, everyone's probably going to start shutting me out. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. As an
Well,
example,
it's not a matter of being scared. You just got to be sensible, really. You know what I mean?
that's what
Like,
I'm not scared on a physical level, but you know, I that's what I'm saying. That's what people in boxing are like. There's ways, and people got weaknesses. And when you're trying to go to press conference, when you're trying to get access to people, they can target you if they want. You know, if they shut off your access, then that's why a lot of these big YouTube channels are so careful about the things they say.
yeah.
They won't give predictions. That's something I won't change my mind on. I'll tell you to your face what I think of a fight. I've told fighters to their face. So but
And like,
again, it's
there's
just
a lot of channels, like they run their channel, oh, the algorithm, I can't say this, I can't say that. And I can't be doing all that, man. But they're successful. But to me, it would just take the fun out of it for me. If I have to just be tiptoeing around everything all the time and staying neutral and everything. And no, it's just you mean that's not why I started. So it won't be that easy for me. But for some people, it's just an income stream. See, I could have told the line with a lot of stuff and not said certain things about certain fighters, but no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. I could have worked for some big, there's some huge YouTube channels in America. I could have worked for them. I said, you know, so I don't want to work for them. I don't want to work for them, man, because like the one channel who offered me a job there, I'm thinking about it now. Until I started, you know, it's only like as years go by, you see what kind of agendas they had. And if I was there, I would either have to support that agenda, and if I did, I would I wouldn't be true to myself. And it's just, you know, it's not worth it to me, man. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. Just not worth it. Like I came in there because I like the sport. There was a lot of misinformation, and you know, I'll just stay at my development as it is for now. Then, if I've got to do all that, I'll just stay with it. I mean, I'm all right with it. I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm okay. I've got other things I do outside, so.
oh yeah, look, all I'll say briefly, but look, you can make your way in boxing, and again, in my opinion, I'm not taking personal shots, but it's just a lot of them they seem to lack confidence because they're so nervous to but using myself as an example, yeah, but you can say stuff to people and get away with it. Because again, I recently told Kell Brook, he was a bit funny with me, but I did tell him, like, yeah, look, I said to him, look, Eubank's too big for you. I don't think that's a good fight to take. Then
Yeah.
when he started trying to get funny about it, yeah, but I just told him, look, I told him two very important things. I said, first of all, I said, oh yeah, if you don't like it, whatever, then just tell me not to come back to your gym again. I won't. Then I told him, look, I've known you for over 10 years. You know what I've always been like. So stop, like, don't give me this attitude now. Like, I remember I've told him stuff before. Like, I remember I once told him Amir Khan's achieved a lot more in boxing than you. And yeah, you can see the reaction. But like I said, I've never been banned from the Ingle gym, or I've never had any problems. So I think if you just stand up for yourself and just get on with it.
Well,
Yeah,
the
no,
Eubank thing for him would be a sore point because after the Golovkin fight where Dominic threw the towel in, what did Eubank say? We don't own towels.
yeah, he was taking a mick.
Yeah. So that would probably a little bit of a sore point for him.
No, but look, I do understand that, but I explained it to him quite well. There was more stuff I said, but I just said, I can only be honest with people. And I said, as I told him, I said, you know, you got 2 damaged eye sockets, and you know, Eubank's naturally a bigger man. I said, if you can fight him if you want, but it's not a good fight to take. I just think he's too big for you. And but the thing is though, like I've run into Kell Brook since then. He was I saw him at the Amir Khan Kell Brook press conference, and you know, he's not, the relationship's still there. And I've said stuff to him in the past before. So yeah, if you just get on with it, yeah, don't get me wrong. There's some people in boxing before who, Adam Booth, for example, who, you know, they've tried to avoid me once they know what I'm like. But I'm not really that fussed. There's billions of people on the planet. Adam Booth's just another person. I'm not. Some of them are unreasonable. Like, I'm not gonna just. All I want, if I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, like you got to be realistic. Like, don't ask me to start jumping through hoops and so on. And you know what I mean, like, if I go to a restaurant, if I want to see the menu, you know, just show me the menu. I'm not gonna guess. You know, if they said to you, "Well, we're not gonna serve you food until you guess what the special is," well, how long is that gonna take me? Or if they, you know,
Well,
imagine if they said to you, "Do 50 push-ups for before we," well, are you kidding me? So that's how I see it with boxing. It's not that big a deal. If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. If not, I don't look down on people. I'll go outside. I'll go talk to homeless people. Like, people are just, some of these people in boxing don't get an ego. You know, like we've already talked about, it's like Ben Davidson. Like, but you're getting carried away with the things you say. You know what I mean? Like, you just, yeah, you know, you happen to be in position, and now you're trying to say trainers are lazy. And what do you mean
yeah,
lazy?
because when he's got people like Devin Haney, who's quite, you know, one of the more popular fighters coming up now. So he's feeling himself. That's what it is, man. But
But
you know,
something
he's
like that.
feeling
Look,
himself.
I sparred Devin Haney years ago. When Devin was 14 and I was 21, like, Devin Haney sparred me when I went to America. Now look, this is a kid, he's been in the gym that long, yeah. Out of all the people I've ever sparred, as the most talented person I've ever sparred, I say is Devin Haney, no question about it. I mean, 14 years old, I'm telling you, he beat a lot of men up. Like, he to me, like a lot of these white collar fighters, I'd say he beat them at 14. I'm telling you, he was that
Yeah,
talented. So what I'm trying to say, you got someone at 14 that was doing harder workouts than, listen, I've seen pros that don't train that hard. Yeah, I've seen men twice his age. They say they want to win a southern area and they want to do this and that, and you know, they don't train that hard. So when you've got this kid and he's doing that at 14, and you get him when he's about 21, 22, well, he's already world class. Like, it doesn't, like, come on, be objective. I sparred Kell Brook recently. I've got that on camera. Kell
yeah,
Brook just messed around with me. I landed one lucky shot. He wasn't having it. He started digging into me with body shots and he dropped me. He wouldn't let me finish the round. So as an example, it doesn't make me a world-class fighter just because I get in there with a world-class fighter. You know, just messing around. As soon as I landed a lucky shot, he wasn't having it. You know, he chased me out of that ring. So the same with Ben Davidson. Now he's around these fighters, but they're already world class. You're not the one making them world class. Like, my video
yeah,
with Book.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm not saying, look, that video since October, it's already got over 12,000 views. It's not, but that's because of Book. It's not because of me. It's not,
yeah.
you know, listen, there's a lot of people in boxing. Tasha Jonas, who else has seen the video? Tasha Jonas, Johnny Nelson. A lot of people have seen that video, and they're impressed. Like, I've got a lot of inbox messages from professional boxers, but that's because it's Kell Brook I'm in with. It's not because of me. Some of these pros have never even heard of me before. They watch it, and it's listen. Some of these people I've interviewed recently, I sent it to Lou DeBella. So yes, I've got a message from Lou DeBella. So I should be interviewing him this week. Lou DeBella doesn't know who I am. I've met him before, but he's not going to remember. But he was shocked. Like, when he saw the book video, he thought it was funny. So, you know, I don't mean to go up, but that's because of Kell Brook. It's not me. So that's what I'd say to Ben. Dude, just humble yourself. You're not, you know, I don't mind him. I'm not
But
gonna go, but
it's creating a platform that you can get. I mean, you just got to keep building on them contact you have, and you know, you've got to be consistent. You got to be consistent, and then you can get some viral sparring sessions, and then like once you get to a certain number and you can monetize, you can make mad money from that, man. Make mad money.
That's what I'm working on. I sparred Liam Williams I sparred him January 2020. And yeah, look, I've been talking to people in boxing. I don't even care about interviews. That's the only reason I go to press conferences, try and get sparring sessions. But I met Tyson Fury not too long ago. I met Andy Lee. I've had these conversations. But all I'm saying, I'm not getting off point, but I'm just trying to explain, with the Ben Davidson, it doesn't have to be Ben Davidson, but a lot of people in boxing, they get carried away with the things they say. And obviously I get it, do what you're going to do, but just don't expect me to lie to you. And if you want to do an interview, we can do an interview, but I'm not going to say things I don't believe. I'm not going to say you're a world-class trainer or you're a world-class fighter. Who's a good example?
The thing is, like, you see channels like ES News with Ellie said that,
I know.
Like, not being funny, like James Toney, he called him a jock scrapper the other month because he said he sucks up to fighters too much, like, because James Toney and the rest of the people, they were saying that Crawford will beat Spence. Crawford will beat Spence. And Eddie was trying to, say, oh, I think because Spence has got a chance. And they said, man, Eddie, you suck up to fighters, dude. And like, look, that's fair enough, his opinion, but he does suck up to fighters. He really does. And that's just his style, though. That's just his style. That's how he manages to stay alive. But at the same time, I don't get mad at him because sometimes we get good information because he's got the contacts. Because he doesn't try and burn bridges like that. Which is, if you're just doing it from a business standpoint, that's a sensible approach. But I wouldn't last a week doing that because, I just can't. I mean, like, I remember when he always used to humor James Toney. When you're going to fight for the championship, Tony, the champ? He's past his prime. He's finished now. What are you talking about? But that's just his style. That's just his style, man. You know what I mean? Yo, I've got to get out of here, man. But
oh yeah, no, obviously it's been a great conversation, and yeah, all I'll say very quickly to finish off, look, I respect everyone. I'll never judge anybody, or however you want to make your living is up to you, but I couldn't do it. And I'll give you a quick example, like Robin Deacon, who's had how many 50 losses or whatever. Robin Deacon was trying to tell me once about, look, I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to become a world champion. I just told him, he got upset. I just said to him, well, look, because he actually asked me for my opinion. I thought, all right, if you want to know, I said, boxing is just not for you. I don't think you're good enough. And if I was you, I think you should retire before you get hurt. Try and find something else to do.
Is Robin Deacon the guy who had the little beef with Conor Ben?
Yeah, I remember. That's the one.
I remember.
Me and Robin Deacon, we haven't spoken since that. So obviously I've upset him. And I remember, you're trying to call out people like Conor Ben, who they're much bigger, they're much younger. And it's up to you. I won't judge the early setbacks. Right? Do whatever you want to do. I just can't do it. I'm not going to lie to people. Or James Toney, as an example. Well, I remember what they were talking about. He's going to try and fight the Klitschko's, and come on, I've met James Toney. You're like my size. You're decades past your prime. You was at your best as a middleweight, and you think you're going to beat people like the Klitschko's. All right, there's like 1% chance. You never know. You might beat them, but I'm not going to lie to you and say that I think you'll beat them. And if that's what it takes to get an interview, you know what? Keep it. Don't want to interview that bad. I'm not willing to lie. If you want me to wait at the gym for hours and hours, I'll do that, but I'm not going to lie to you.
See, but Robin probably really wanted to be a world champion, and that just wasn't destined for him. He just didn't have the ability. Not only that, he didn't have the right people guiding him and stuff and training him. So it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen, man. Never gonna happen.
Again, I'm not. I'll finish off, but look, I'm not. I don't judge people. Whatever ambitions you want to have is up to you. Just don't expect. Just don't ask me to lie to you. I'll tell you my opinion to the best of my knowledge. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Like I've been. Sometimes people ask me for my prediction on fights. Sometimes there was a fight I haven't watched either of them fight. I just said I don't know. I haven't watched. I think it was Kambosos Lomachenko. I said I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Kambosos, so I'm not going to talk for the sake of talking. But if I feel that I know enough, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, Robin Deakin, like you've had 50 losses. How are you going to become a world champion? And yeah, we haven't spoke since. So,
Well,
right?
nobody talks about it. He hasn't fought for years, man. Like it just didn't pan out. Not everybody can. You know what I mean, look, not all YouTube channels are going to get to 50,000. Not all boxers are going to get to them world title belts. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. Sometimes, you know, like people are meant to do other things. You know, like maybe he might just have a regular, because he's still a young guy, Robin Deakin, but he's probably just got a regular job now. You know.
Yeah, I hope so.
There was something wrong with his foot. He had a
Yeah,
club foot.
yeah, it was born
Yeah,
with
and
a set club foot.
yeah. So he was, the odds were always against him, you know, becoming something, you know. Yeah, it is what it is, man. But yo, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure.
Anytime, man. It's been an honor. Obviously,
Yeah.
your channel's very well known and respected.
All right, appreciate that. Appreciate that. You know what I mean? We'll do it another time sometime soon, man.
No problem, brother. You take care.
All right, take care, bro.